Hey there YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of Lion Collectibles. I am super excited today. We are on the eve of UFC 280, Oliveira versus Makhachev in Abu Dhabi. This card is stacked. I can't wait to jump into the picks, show you some cards that I have of some of the fighters that I'm backing tomorrow. Just super stacked card. This is what we live for as UFC fans. First, before we jump into that, I do want to recap how we performed last week on the UFC Fight Night Grasso versus Araujo. We went 3-2. You know, we strive for better than that, but it's good to have a winning record. Let's kind of take a look. First off, we got a big win with Menefield getting the KO. We called that straight out. I showed you the Menefield card that I had. No value changes on that from what I could really tell right off the bat, but looking to hold on to that. Hopefully he'll get another favorable matchup soon. We looked good with Jonathan Martinez. He looked great against Cub Swanson. Used a lot of the leg kicks like we called. Ended up getting the finish there. Grasso stayed behind the jab. Great striking battle. It was back and forth, but Grasso edged it out. So that was a cool, another win pickup for us in the final main event. We did lose 2 fights. Rafael Sancial fought back Father Time for a little longer. He even admitted that with a loss, he probably would have been retiring. Good for him. Always good to see a vet pick up a good win. And then Jordan Wright versus Dusko Todorovic went just like I kind of called it. Jordan Wright looked amazing in the first round, almost got Todorovic out of there, but then kind of gassed a little bit and got finished. So bummer to lose those two. 3-2, we'll take it. Winning record starting off. Hopefully we'll do better moving forward. Now let's jump into the UFC 280 fight card. Again, massive card, a lot of top-ranked fighters, a lot of fights that mean a lot to the divisions. Let's go ahead and jump in. I'll show you some picks and I'll show you some cards. First fight that we're going to dig into on the prelims is Nikita Krylov versus Volkan Oezdemir. Krylov is number 10 ranked in the division. He's coming off a huge win over Alexander Gustafsson where he kind of blitzed him early. Oezdemir is actually number 8 in the division, former title challenger. He actually challenged for the title against Daniel Cormier unsuccessfully. And he's really become a gatekeeper of the division. Both these guys have knockout power in their hands. It should be an exciting one. I think Krylov has only had like 3 of his 37 fights go to the distance. So that's an interesting prop to keep an eye on. Krylov, he's had 2 stints in the UFC. This is his second stint. I just think he's got a little bit more in the tank than Oezdemir. I think he's going to be a little bit quicker than Oezdemir. So my prediction for the fight is Nikita Krylov getting a finish either late in the second round or in the third round. I do have a card from Nikita that I was able to pick up last week. It is his 2021 Panini Prism card. It is numbered out of 225 and it is a Mojo. Mojo is these little kind of marks that you get here on these cards. It's pretty rare, pretty cheap card. He's not a big exciting guy. It's not even a rookie. I think I picked him up for like $15. Next we have Nurmagomedov versus Kaio Borralho. This is another really cool fight in the division. Nurmagomedov looked like a stud in his first 3 fights in the UFC. The guy's got great striking power. He's aggressive. But he did come up short in his last fight. He lost to a veteran, Jared Mershart, hurt the guy early, but then gassed a little bit in the fight. So look for that if the fight goes really far. Kaio Borralho, his opponent, a guy that's coming off the Contender Series. He's been pretty impressive in his run. He's more of a grappler and someone that's probably going to look to go for takedowns on Muradov and take him into those deeper waters. I do like Muradov. I think, prior to his last fight, and especially if he would have been able to finish it, he'd be a way bigger favorite here. Borralho's coming off of a couple good wins, and so I think that's why the odds are kind of favoring him. I'm going to pick Muradov, in my opinion. I think he'll be able to hopefully learn from his mistakes in his past fight, keep the fight on the feet, and I think he'll be able to have better striking and maybe even hurt Borralho early. I did pick up a card of Muradov. This is they call it the watermelon color. So this is his watermelon 2021 Panini Prism. It is numbered out of 75. I picked this up for, I think, 20 bucks. I thought it was a steal. Again, he's down a little bit, I felt, on value. But if he can pick up a win here and get back on track, I think he's a guy that could become a contender in the division. And I just think that green color's super cool. So we're going to go Muradov by decision. I think he'll get it done. But I would love to see him pick up a knockout. That'd be pretty awesome. All right, now we're going to go to the welterweight division for some two top contenders. You got Bilal, remember the name Muhammad. He's number 5 in the division, fighting against Sean Brady, who's number 8. Bilal Muhammad really has kind of come, into the limelight over the last couple years. He's on a great winning streak. Mainly got a lot of those wins through strong grappling. Overall, the guy's got great grappling, great cardio, and has looked amazing. Sean Brady is a little bit of a younger guy. He is another really, really strong grappler. He just picked up a big win not too long ago against Michael Chiesa, who's another strong grappler. The guy's got improving striking, and I just think he is one of these guys that we are going to see for a long time. So my prediction for the fight, I'm going to ride with Sean Brady. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens when their grappling goes up against each other. I think Sean is a little bit younger, a little bit more athletic. I think he's going to be able to outmatch Bilal in that department. So I'm going to go with Brady. I think he's either going to establish top game and hurt Bilal on the feet or go to submission, but a decision is probably most likely. I picked up a Sean Brady card this week as well. This is his 2022 Panini Select. I love these Select cards. I think they're just one of the cooler sets. This is a bronze, and so it is numbered out of 175. I did pick this up for a little bit more. Sean Brady's market is a little bit higher. I had to get this one for 45 bucks, I believe. But I think it's a cool card. Almost looks gold. But this is the 2022 Select bronze for Sean Brady. Moving right along, those are the only 2 prelim fights that we wanted to pick. We are now to the main event. 5 fights. It's going to be great. So we're starting off the night with the women's bantamweight division. It is Katlyn Chookagian, who's actually number 1 in the division, versus Manon Fiore from France. Chookagian has been a perennial contender for quite some time. She challenged for the belt against Valentina a few years back. She did get outclassed there, but since then she's picked up some pretty big wins. She's more of a striker, rangier striker, and a little bit more of a point fighter. Not a ton of finishing power from what I've seen, but she's bigger for the division, and so that's helped her a lot in her fights. Then you have Manon Fiore across the cage, the Beast. And I think she's looked like a beast. She is another big athletic woman for the division. She's got some KO power. I think 2 of her 4 wins in the UFC have come by finish. And she looked really, really great in her last outing. She's a standing striker. She can use elbows, and she does have some power. So I am pulling for her. I just think she's got a lot more momentum running her way and is a fresh face to the division and can give the rest of the division some trouble. I actually went pretty big on Fiore. I picked up 4 of her cards here, and so I'm going to put them kind of down so everybody can check them out. So we'll go from top to bottom. So all of these are the 2022 Panini Select cards, and I just kind of picked them up for different values based on what they were numbered out of. So this is the blue. This is numbered out of 199. I think I picked this up for like $5 or $6, which I think is pretty cool for a rookie that can have some big potential. Here is the disco red that we have here. Those are the little disco balls. This is numbered out of 99. I think I picked this up for like $15. We have the white Select here. This is also a silver prism. This one is out of 75. Again, paid a little bit more for this one. I think I paid 25 bucks for this one. And then last, I have the tricolor prism, which is out of 49. So I had to pay about 35 bucks or 40 bucks for this one. I just think she's got a lot of fight left in her. She's undefeated in the UFC, and a big win over Chookagian tomorrow night is going to go a long way. All right, now we're going to move to the lightweight division. 155 pounds between Beneil Dariush and Matthias Gamra. Dariush is number 6 in the division, and he's been around forever. He's a guy that doesn't feel like he gets all of the love from the UFC that he should, but he is on a great win streak right now. He's been in the UFC since 2014. He's 19-4-1, and he's coming off the biggest fight win of his career over Tony Ferguson. He does have a wrestling and grappling background, but his striking has improved, and he's shown it with some finishes in the UFC. Dariush thought he was going to be the replacement for the main event, and even came out kind of publicly and said that it hurt his feelings a little bit that they picked Volkanovski to be the replacement. So I think he's kind of focused a little bit on where he fits in. There might be a little bit more on his mind that Matthias isn't dealing with. However, I do think Matthias has the edge in a lot of the different areas. I think Dariush has been around a little while. Dariush has been KO'd before. So I think I'm going to edge with Gamra. I just think he's got a lot of momentum, so I'm picking Gamra. I did pick up 2 cards from Matthias Gamra. These are both of his same thing, 2022 Panini Select cards. This is, I believe, the better card. This is out of 42. This is a blue disco. I love those discos. Cool picture of him. And then we got his other, this is just his red parallel. And this is out of 125. I'm riding with Gamra. I think he picks up the big win, steals a little bit of Dariush's thunder, and then really, steals that ranking, and he's getting a big fight. All right, now we're jumping into the final 3 fights of the card that are the most exciting and that everybody can't stop talking about. Don't hesitate to let me know in the comments where you're at. We'll start off in the 135-pound division between Petr Yan versus Sean O'Malley. Petr Yan is the number 1 contender. Sean O'Malley is number 11, so there's a big gap in their rankings. But O'Malley has really captured the attention of UFC fans. He's a younger fighter, and he's just really kind of impressed people. He's a very colorful fighter, colorful character. He's got his hair dyed. He always kind of gets them in cornrows, and it's just, he is, whether you like him or not, you find yourself being interested in his fights. Petr Yan is a former champion. He took the belt from Jose Aldo, or he won a vacant belt against Jose Aldo. Around that time, he looked unstoppable. You're talking about a guy that's got crisp, hard strikes, great leg kicks, can wrestle a little bit, and he put it on Jose Aldo, the legend. It was, for a lot of guys that have been watching Aldo for a long time, it was kind of tough to watch. He proceeded to kind of lose his title to Aljamain Sterling in one bizarre fight where he was really kind of winning. The illegal DQ to Aljamain, lost the belt there. They rematched after he picked up a win over Corey Sandhagen, which is really, really good. But then he lost pretty convincingly in that fight. I thought he lost 3 of the 5 rounds. He was dominated by Aljamain, taking his back. And so this is really his chance to reintroduce himself, show that those kind of things were a fluke, and get back into title contention. Sugar is more of an outside rangy fighter who's just shown to have some dynamite in his hands, pinpoint accuracy type guy. Has had some trouble getting taken down, so I think that might be a path to victory for Yan if he's able to establish a takedown game. But overall, I have decided to ride with Sean O'Malley. I think it's super exciting to see guys kind of on these trajectories when they get the push. It might be a little too much for him in this fight, but I think there's also a great chance that he is hard to figure out, right? He's tall for the division. He's lanky. I could see him picking up the first round by keeping it kind of a ranged battle where he's landing good strikes. And then suddenly you're mid-second and it's pretty close, but he still looks like he's dominating. Also, from a card collecting aspect, it's just kind of exciting to collect him right now. A lot of people, he's got big values on him. And so I'm going to ride with Sean O'Malley on this time. I got 2 cards for Sean O'Malley. This first one is his 2022 Panini. I believe these were called Illusions. This is out of 49. I bought this on a card pool on Whatnot app, so I thought that was pretty cool. Pretty good value here, number 45 out of 99. Then I spent a little bit of money on a big card of his. It hasn't gotten here yet, so I'm going to put up a graphic here of it. I went ahead and got his 2021 Panini Select Tie-Dye Prism Relic. It's got a little piece of the mat on there, or a piece of the mat, or a piece of his fight shorts, and it is numbered out of 25. I paid around $100 for it. I just think, again, this guy's got a lot of room to grow, a lot of value to grow into his cards. He might get some humble pie here this weekend, but I like him being the underdog, so I'm going with Sean O'Malley. Co-main event, we have Aljamain, Funkmaster Sterling, the champion, defending against TJ Dillashaw. A lot of kind of drama going into this one. It's one of the most exciting fights of the night for me, being that TJ is from the USA wrestling circuit, which me and a lot of my friends are from the UFC wrestling circuit. Aljamain Sterling, again, as we just talked about, picked up huge wins over Petr Yan. Looked like he really was outmatched in that first fight, but then was able to kind of dominate and show that it wasn't all a fluke against Yan in his last fight. And then he called out TJ. So he's got a lot of confidence going into the fight. TJ, as everybody knows, did test positive for EPO a few years ago in the loss to Henry Cejudo. Big black eye for him, and even black eye for wrestling and people that were his fans, right? It was a bummer to find out that news that he was cheating. He served a 2-year suspension, then came back and fought right away against Corey Sandhagen, top contender and one of the toughest guys in that bantamweight division. He looked really good. It did look like there was a little bit of rust on him in that fight, but overall he won the fight. I thought it was a pretty clear decision for him. Big question is, and it will always kind of be, unless he really shows out this weekend, is how much did the PEDs affect his earlier performances? Was he on those forever, right? Those are questions for a legacy, and not something we're going to answer tomorrow. We're going to find out tomorrow night is he ready to take back his crown and establish himself. As far as the stylistic matchup goes, there's no secret to Aljamain's game. He's a grappler at heart. That was his path to victory against Yan. I think he looks for that here, right? He did go for a lot of takedowns for Yan, and they did get stuffed a lot. I would say TJ's probably the better wrestler, but you could definitely see a situation where he is able to take the back of TJ and threaten that submissions for a whole round, or just ride him on the back, and that would be tough. On the other side, with TJ, you got a really, really creative striker with a heavy wrestling background, right? So TJ, again, California wrestler, had a great wrestling career, super athletic guy, went on the Ultimate Fighter house, and then outside of the Ultimate Fighter, which he did lose to John Dodson, showed up on his next couple of fights having extremely improved striking, and that was from going with Dwayne Ludwig. Dwayne Ludwig, former UFC fighter himself, really kind of just revamped TJ's striking game and it made him a hell of a lot more dangerous. TJ, I think, is going to win this fight. I think I love redemption stories. We all make mistakes. We're all human. I just think he's going to have a little bit too much creativity on the feet for Aljamain. I think Aljamain's going to should have some trouble having his way, at least in the grappling game. It's not to say he's not going to be successful. It's not to say he's not going to get the back of TJ at some point. But I think if he had some trouble with Yan, he's going to have more trouble with TJ. And I think if it stays a striking battle, explosive kicks and explosive stuff from Aljamain is not going to be something that's going to give TJ a ton of problems. I look for TJ to land plenty and often and defend and stuff takedowns and make it a tough fight for Aljamain all night. And I think he becomes really the greatest bantamweight champion that we've ever had, right? It would be the third time that he's taken the title, and hopefully can put that kind of the PED use and stuff behind him and go on another bantamweight reign. I picked up a bunch of cards from TJ here, and I'll kind of show you guys all of them, and I gave a little bit of a sneak peek to them. But these are the 2021 Panini Prism cards from TJ. I went ahead and picked up this one for I think $5 or $10. It was really, really cheap because it's out of 99. This is kind of the blue parallel, which I think is super cool. This is the teal parallel for this. I thought it's a really, really cool color. This one's out of 49, so I love the kind of low print numbers. This one I spent a little bit more. I think I spent $30 on this one. I picked this one up, which was kind of interesting. It's a 2018 Topps card. It's the same picture as these ones that they used. But I think it's just kind of cool. I picked it for $5. Not sure it'll have a ton of value. It's out of 88. But I thought it was one of those cool kind of cards. Like, they used the same photo 3 years later, but, thought it was cool. Quality looks a little bit different back then. It's been a little, Panini has definitely a little bit more of like a flashier style with the prism stuff. But I thought this was a pretty cool card. Then I went a little bit big on TJ myself. Super excited to show this one. This is a TJ Dillashaw National Treasures Panini Relic out of 99. This is a piece of the octagon that he fought in. Picked this up. I think it's a super cool card. I spent a little bit of money on it. I spent $125 on it. But again, if he picks up the win, reestablishes himself as the 135-pound king, have a fight between the winner of OMalley, Petr Yan, like, I'm gonna be excited to hold this thing and I'm a longtime fan of TJ's. So TJ Dillashaw, I think he's getting the win, reclaiming his crown, and cementing himself as the greatest 135-pound champion that there's ever been. All right. We got the main event, the fight that everyone's been waiting for. The 155-pound lightweight strap is on the line between Charles the Bronx Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. Makhachev, the guy is an extremely strong top game. That Russian, Chechen kind of group of theirs, just great wrestlers, ever improving striking. They're always in great shape, and they are just dogs. They're all over you, constantly kind of creating grappling situations where you need to work out of it. You need to burn a lot of your energy, and then they're right there to not only keep you there, but look for submissions, look for ground and pound. He's 11-1 since joining the UFC in 2015. There's been some criticism that, like, his fight, his strength of schedule hasn't been that great, but he's got big wins over Bobby Green, Dan Hooker, to say the least. And so I think he's definitely ready. He's definitely showed how potent his ground and grappling game can be. And I think he poses a lot of problems for anyone, specifically with Charles Oliveira. I think Charles Oliveira has looked so exciting on the feet, not necessarily, a lot of arm bars, triangles, that kind of thing off his back. So I think there's a chance that Islam can really kind of take the fight to the ground where it needs to be and dominate there. On the other side of the ring, you got the former champion. He's actually not the champion right now because he missed weight in his last fight against Justin Gaethje, which was controversial. But he's the number one contender, obviously, the champion in all but name. Charles Oliveira, man, I've just been super impressed over the years watching him. I've been watching him for years. He's been in the UFC since 2010. He's 21-8 during that time. And those 8 losses came earlier in his career at a time when I thought, well, this guy is a good fighter, but, who knows if he'll ever make anything. His recent run has just been impressive. His last loss was in 2017, and he just looks so amazing in his fights. Like, when he fights, you get a little, your hands get a little sweaty because you're not sure when the fight's going to end, what's going to happen, but it's going to be exciting. He's got dangerous power on the feet. He can sub guys on the ground. Like I said, not necessarily a crazy jiu-jitsu practitioner off of his back, but when the fight goes to the ground, he is always looking for transitions. He is always pushing to either get up or reverse you, and he'll snap, he'll jump on a neck, he'll jump on a rear naked, whatever it is. I just think he's one of the most exciting guys out there. His last win over Justin Gaethje, everybody thought he was going to kind of shy away from the striking, try to take it down. No way. Walked right across the ring, knocked Gaethje down early and put a lot and really just outbeat him on the feet. Defended a lot of great kicks from Gaethje, which everyone thought were going to be a big factor, and really put it on Gaethje and choked him out. I think it's like 2 title defenses, or would have been title defenses against a title defense against Gaethje, plus taking the title. So 3 fights in the last year. I don't know if he's breaking a record here, but it'll be a 3rd title defense against Islam. He's putting his name up there in the record books and in the talks for who the best 155-pounder is if he can get a win here today. I am going to ride with the Brazilian, with Oliveira. I think it's time to stop doubting him. And I think really the big question is, what will happen if he cannot take Oliveira down? Like, that's the big difference maker there. If he goes for a takedown early and can't get it, or gets a takedown on Oliveira, and Oliveira gets up relatively easy, I think now suddenly the fight moves into way more favor for Oliveira. I think Oliveira has multiple ways to win. Striking, hurting Islam, catching a rear naked or taking his back in a scramble. I think there's only really one major way that I see Islam winning, which is strong grappling control. And if he can't do that, I think he's going to be in a scary area. I'm going to make a bold prediction and say Oliveira gets him out of there in round 2. It's kind of been shown in his last fights. They don't go very long. No matter what happens, do not get up. Do not miss this fight because it's going to be fireworks. And again, I think we're going to see the Bronx take back his title and really establish himself as one of the greatest 150 fighters of all time. I picked up 2 cards from Charles Oliveira. I picked up his Panini Prism red parallel here. I think it's a really cool card with his hands up. This one is numbered out of 299, so not the lowest print. These came in a package. I think I paid $145 for both of these together. And then you got kind of the crown jewel here, I think, an auto card here from him. This is a Prism as well, and it is out of 99, so a relatively low print. Not the best centering from what I can see. It looks a little bit high and to the right, but I still think it's a great card. I think I got a decent deal on it. And again, if he can win, I just think there's a lot of challengers and a lot of great fights for him, and I'm going to have a lot of fun holding this card and watching Charles Oliveira. So Charles Oliveira by finish in round 2. And that's going to be it for UFC 280. Super exciting. Let's go ahead and recap all the fights that we picked. We're going to go ahead and pick, we think that Nikita Krylov is going to beat Oezdemir. Muradov's going to beat Baralho. Sean Brady over Bilal Muhammad. Manan Fiore the Beast over Katlyn Chookagian. I'm riding with Gamra over Dariush. And then we're going to go really with underdogs all the way out. Sean O'Malley over Peter Yan. TJ over Aljamain Sterling for the 135-pound belt. And then we're riding with the Bronx. Charles Oliveira to retain his title, in my opinion, against Islam Makhachev. Little fun fact, $25 bet on that big parlay, massive parlay, would win you $2,700. So I'm going to be $2,700 richer next week. We'll see what happens. Thank you for joining me. I hope everybody enjoys the awesome UFC 280 card. I know I will. And I'll see you back here on the next episode.